name is Matt. I'm talking to you today from Oregon State University on a beautiful sunny day in December. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you for your hard work in keeping and maintaining the TAHMO weather stations. Without your work, none of this would be possible. And today I'm going to talk to you about these new calibrators, calibrating and cleaning kits that we're sending out. So within the kit is a cleaning rag, a spray bottle, a volumetric flask, the actual calibrator, very important, a cylindrical bottle cleaning brush, and a toothbrush. So, the most important thing to start with is that you have a beautiful day. Joe, if you could pan up. Beautiful day like this. You don't want any rain. Any rain is going to screw up this whole entire process, and we're going to be confounding actual precipitation with simulated precipitation. So we do not want any rain, and it's best if it's a sunny day, clear day like today. So to get started, what we're going to do is start with the cleaning process. Joe, if you can come over and take a show. So this is a quite clean one, but you'll find other ones that have dust, some bird poop, other debris inside. And what you want to start with is giving it a nice spray and coming in with our cloth, giving it a nice little clean. And then you're going to take the spring, which twists out counterclockwise. Actually, clockwise. Give it a nice little clean, maybe another spray. Then you're going to take the bottle brush right here, get down into this little hole. Make sure that that is also very clear, nice and clean. So then you take off the funnel, being very, very careful about these wires here. So you want to give them a little bit of support so that way they're not pulling on there. And you grab your handy dandy little squirt bottle, give it a couple more squirts, trying to keep most of that water away from the electronics if possible. Then you're going to give it a little scrub with your toothbrush right in there. It fits nice right into the channel. A nice little rub with the cleaning cloth. And then finally, you're going to want to get this little brush and clean the probes off. And maybe one more little clean right there, and you reattach the funnel. So then what you're going to do is you're going to reattach this little spring by placing it in firmly and then turning it clockwise. Now your spring is back on. Maybe give it a little flick to make sure that it's working. Now, you're cleaning the last little bit is maybe give it a spray on the outside if you see some gunk on the outside right here, something dirty, you might want to give it a little polish. And then this area, if you can go down to this little mesh screen right here, can sometimes get clogged. So we get our little toothbrush, just like you're brushing your teeth. A nice little scrub, maybe a wipe or two. Great. So at this point, the cleaning process should be good. This one was fairly clean to begin with, but if yours is still dirty, then just keep going until it seems like it's clean. If you're having a very difficult time, a nice little trick which you can do is add just a couple drops of soap, some liquid soap, or maybe a tiny bit of powdered soap would make this process a little bit easier if you're having something maybe a little bit more oily, a little bit more difficult to get to scrub clean. But this worked fine for me, so no need to add any. Cleaning process is done. You put your cleaning equipment back in your handy dandy clear plastic bag. Careful not to lose anything. Now, we move on to the calibration process. This is a 100 milliliter flask, and this is your calibrating device. It's really important that this part right here, this black cover, is going to cover this sensor right here. This is the photosynthetically active radiation sensor, and it's really important that this covers the sensor, because when later we're going to go back and look through this data, we want to be able to identify what's a calibration event and what is an actual precipitation event. And the way we're going to be able to identify that is if this sensor is covered, it's going to signal to us that suddenly, you have a bright sunny day, beautiful day like this, and suddenly the radiation is going to drop to zero. That will tell us that there's a calibration event is occurring, and that's not to count this rain, this simulated precipitation, as actual precipitation. So, this is the calibrator. You're going to firmly, snugly attach it to the flask. Again, this is 100 mils. You've measured it up to this line. The bottom of the meniscus should be touching this blue line right here. There'll be an attached diagram to the kit showing you exactly where to measure to. And you get this in very snugly, careful not to break anything, but make sure that it's tight. And then flip it over onto the sensor, the actual rain gauge, and give it a nice squeeze. Sometimes you might have to give it a couple, and ensure that the air is coming up through this air hole. You should be seeing these little air bubbles popping up. It's very important that there's not any air coming up on the sides or around the edges. You want them only coming up through this part right here. Sometimes air does get trapped, and you might need to give it another little squeeze. And what is actually happening is water is traveling through the bottom of the calibrator and dropping down right here on the edge. So this is giving us a very constant flow rate of simulated precipitation passing through, and that's going to be able to give us an identified simulated precipitation, which we can later validate with the data, and that will tell us if this rain gauge is functioning correctly or not. So it's a very important job, because if our rain gauges aren't capturing the right data, then we have to know so we can go out and fix it. So what you're doing is a very important job, because the precipitation data is essential to the entire network functioning correctly. So again, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for your hard work.